when we go, we won't forget to blow against the wall.
Operation Vittles, the American code name for the airlift, was working at last, thanks to an unusually mild winter. On Easter Sunday 1949, a record 13,000 tons was airlifted in 24 hours. The gamble had worked. Berlin could be supplied indefinitely by air.
We lived at Karlshorst and could hear the noise of the aeroplanes, which delivered everything, including chocolate and Christmas presents. We couldn't match it. We were poor, and the West was rich. And of course, this crazy blockade was bound to fail.
The Soviets had failed to drive the British, Americans and French out of Berlin. The Allied counter-blockade was hurting the Soviet zone. On May 12, 1949, Stalin called it quits.
As midnight nears, tension mounts at the British frontier control post. Familiar with the old Russian habit of changing their minds when it suits them, seasoned campaigners could not quite grasp this new mood of cooperation. As on the stroke of 12, the barrier goes up and a British jeep leads the race into Berlin.
Many people thought the ending of the Berlin blockade meant an end to the Cold War.
I returned home after midnight, having taken the S-Bahn from Ostkreuz to Neukölln. When we crossed the boundary between the two sectors, everything was bathed in light. It was like a dream.
Freude. Weiter nichts.
Sheer joy. Nothing else. We had done it. It does work with the West.
Und es geht doch mit dem Westen.
That was so very important. The West has won.
Der Westen hat gesiegt.
It was General Clay's time to go back home. After a goodbye parade, he paid a final visit to Berlin.
So then he asked me to go with him to the final farewell ceremony at City Hall, and Adenauer and all the top German officials had been flown in. That was a very impressive farewell ceremony, and as so often, nobody had thought of providing a separate microphone for the interpreter. This happened to me time and again, which meant I had to lean over practically cheek to General Clay to speak into the microphones. And in the strong light, I could see that there were tears in his eyes.
I shall not use the English word goodbye, but rather try to say to you, auf Wiedersehen.
The day General Clay said auf Wiedersehen, the head of the future West German Republic, Konrad Adenauer, addressed Berliners.
Und erfüllt von tiefer Dankbarkeit für euren Kampf, für euer Leid, für eure Geduld, die jetzt zum Siege geführt hat.
The Cold War period in Berlin was really the core, the root of post-war democracy in Germany. There was a growing feeling that the Germans, after all, can be satisfied to accept democracy as their own ways of living and to become part of the Western world.
Сам этот берлинский кризис привел, конечно.
The Berlin crisis, on reflection, resulted in a division of Europe. The government in West Germany was created, and 2 weeks later, on our side, the German Democratic Republic was born. That division went right across Germany.
In April 1949, British Foreign Secretary Bevin's dream of a strategic alliance between Western Europe and North America came true with the signing of the North Atlantic Treaty.
The overall success of the Berlin airlift was, first of all, it persuaded a lot of very frightened people throughout Europe that they had to come into the Atlantic Alliance, which provided the security for the general feeling that we are safe in spite of these very much larger Russian forces which were next door.
August 29, 1949, the Soviets detonated their first atomic bomb. The American nuclear monopoly was over. The world was now split down the middle by two competing superpowers. At its heart lay a divided Germany and a divided Berlin.